Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
For newcomers and old-timers alike, the Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success.
I think treated, most of these birds have a good prognosis, and I would say
What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can we prevent illness, see the signs of disease before it's too late, and care for our birds through ill health? What light does behavioral science shed on their nature, needs, and hopes? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions?
Shake.
How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. How much freedom do you give them? What happens if you form a bond of trust with them? Watch and see what understanding their true nature can do for you. Come with us on a journey as we do more than examine a parrot's world. We live in it. Make some popcorn and bring in a few wood blocks. Let everyone have something to chew and a comfortable place to perch. Cockatude is a presentation of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
I'd like to do a big shout out to those people who make this video cast possible. Cockatude would not be possible without our patrons. Thank you to those of you who make one-time donations. Without these patrons giving us of their hard-earned cash, we couldn't continue doing this podcast. I'd like to urge you to please give us at least $1 per episode. We do 2 episodes a month. We'd like to do more, but in order to do that, we have to have the time. And right now I'm spending a lot of time trying to beat the bushes for the Chloe Sanctuary. It's not easy taking care of birds that are severely damaged, both emotionally and physically. So please, I urge you, become one of our patrons. And I'm sure that Peaches would thank all of our patrons in person if she got the chance. We try to answer questions from our viewers as we can. If you are a patron, be sure to email us at patron@chloesanctuary.org, and your questions will take precedence. We always put our patrons first because they put us first. Hi, and welcome to Cockatude. Cockatoos with Attitude, episode 69, our stoic Roman bird. Now, we've got a lot of birds in here today. The mating season is over, but that doesn't mean anything, does it, Cecil? You gotta watch them, especially this guy. But you want to go over by Bob, you'll just be bothering Bob if we do that, won't you? So we've got Lorelei, we've got Cecil, Coco, and Bob. You gotta watch these two. He's always trying to get birds' tail ends, and that's not a good thing when a male goes after a female's tail. So you watch it. And there's Peach. Now, Coco, turn your rear some other way. There you go. And Lucy. Sugarbird. Hey, what you doing up there, salamander? And the Pip. The Pip, Pip, Pippa. Yeah, the Pip, Pip, Pippa. Hi, Pip. So today we're going to be talking about our stoic Roman bird. This is the first time I've really talked a lot about one bird who wasn't in the room. I'm going to clip in some video of him so you can kind of see what's going on. Romer. Hi, Roman. Hi, Rome. I love you. Roman bird. Pretty boy. Pretty boy. We're going to talk about his phobias. He came to us with a bunch of phobias. So he had an inadequate cage when he came to us. He was afraid of paper towels and squirt bottles. And you can think about that one and try to figure out what that means. He had feather destructive behavior. He was afraid of hands. He was afraid of leaving his cage. There you go, sweetheart. He had a fear of anyone approaching his cage or him. So at first, when he came here, he was in a corner cage, which those things are never any good for any bird. You might get an African gray in one, because they don't really mind smaller cages, but most birds, they don't like those corner cages. So he came in a corner cage, which I decided, because he was so afraid of any human contact, to just take my time getting him corrected, the problem corrected. So the method that we use is a thing called a functional assessment. The first thing you do is you assess the function, and behavior is a function of its consequences. So the function is, what's the consequence? What are they looking for? Okay, so what you do is you assess to see what the bird is trying to get, what function in its life is being fulfilled by its certain behaviors, and then find ways to deal with that, okay? Ways to deal with those individual problems that a bird may have. So what you're trying to do is figure out why a bird acts in a certain way. So a functional assessment is a tool to discover what is behind inappropriate behavior. Now you could use it for appropriate behavior too, but basically we don't do that. What you doing, Pip? Pip, Pip, Pippa! You're looking good, Pip. Guess you're looking so much better. Guess
Yes, you are. Pretty girl. Pretty girl. Look at that pretty girl. Look at that pretty girl. So you're looking for triggers, okay? These are environmental cues. I always use that excuse that. Whoa, there she goes. You're gonna rip up my poster up there. There she goes, hanging on the door. All right, guys, I gotta stand up. I need one less bird, though. I'm gonna sit up here. All right, get off the poster, please. Come on. Your flying is getting much better. Let's go. There you go. Your flying is getting much better. Yes, it did. Let go of my fingers. Hey, Bob. Scoot, Bob. Scoot, Bobaloo. I didn't think I mentioned you were in the room. Come on. That was a good catch on my part, wasn't it? What are you doing falling off? He's getting scared because other birds are here. Don't worry about them. She says, like, yeah, right. Tell me not to worry. That's my Lorelei. That's my Lorelei. It's going to get hot in here, and I'm going to have to turn the air conditioning on before the phones fry, because I use... No, not again.
Peaches is an amazing personality. Her daily maintenance requires dedication and mindfulness. She requires 2 forms of medicine, 7-course meals, and effort to entice her to eat. Extensive preening every day, special tools to trim nails, constant attention to her vocalizations, daily walks, and twice yearly checkups due to the possibility of impacted feather follicles and the nature of her spinal injuries. It seems a common misconception among the general public that parrots are like toys in a toy box. Nothing could be further from the truth. They are complex creatures. Recently, scientific studies have shown them to be at least as intelligent as chimpanzees. Every captive parrot needs special humans who will dedicate themselves to understanding them, those who know their species as it lives in the wild, special people that understand their social, mental, and physical needs. They need to be understood for what they are, and not as merely human companions, as circus performers to bring smiles. Peaches needs all this and more. She is our special girl. Will you help us care for Peaches? Please make a donation today at our website, chloesanctuary.org. That's spelled CHLOESANCTUARY.org. As a special thank you for your donation, we will joyfully send you a postcard with Peach's happy face.
Everybody scoot off my lap. Scoot off my lap, please. Thank you. All right, this is it. Get off the picture. Get off of it. Yep. There we go. Bob, Bob a little. Just behave. Okay, scoot. Scoot. I don't want to sit on you, so scoot your little tail. Okay, where was I? And I've got the picture down, so you'll just fall on the ground, I hope. Slowly, safely, but... So the first thing you do when you're analyzing these kind of things is you want to do a quality of life. So basically there's a set of forms you go through, and this gives you a numeric value for how much they're alive. Okay, what their happiness is in life, and what their physical capabilities are. If you keep it up, you're going to find yourself out of here. Because I can't keep getting up every 10 seconds for you, sweetheart, while the cameras are rolling. Okay, so just try to calm down. All right. So you do the quality of life analysis, And then you start with a functional assessment. Now, basically when you're dealing with that, you're looking for environmental cues, certain things in the environment, like I was saying with Chloe, that Chloe, I brought out that little can of Rumford baking powder, and she just started giving her alarm call, right? No, Pippa, no, Pippa, no, Pippa, no. Good girl. That's a good girl. Don't go doing things you shouldn't be, okay? She's getting a little better about responding to the no. She's figuring it out, aren't you, kid? You're figuring it out. You can come over here if you want. Come here, Pippa. Come here, Pippa. So you're looking for the ABCs, okay? There's antecedents. That's the things that come. That's the things that precede a particular behavior. Ante comes from Latin meaning before. So the things that happen before a particular behavior happens, and then you want to see the consequences. So that's the ABCs, antecedents, behavior, consequences. So let's say that when you come home, you open a door, and the bird runs to the back of the cage and hides. That's a good example of what Rome was doing. Okay, so the antecedent is opening the door. Okay, the distant antecedents are all those things that led to his behavior, but what we have right now are those that are in the environment. So, and the consequence of going to the back of the cage is, one, it tends to keep you away from the cage because you don't want to walk near a bird that's frightened. Hey, 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 no, Pippa, no, Pip, no. Come on over here. Come on over here. Come on, Pip. Come on. There you go. That's a good girl. Come over here. That's much better if you come over here, okay? Good girl, Pippa. Good girl. Yeah, that's a good girl. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. So I started looking at the relations between particular behaviors and what was going on in Roman's environment. And what I'm focused on is operant behavior. And all that means is, the word operator. It's the one who's operating the big old, you've seen those big caterpillars where they're operating this big machinery, right? Well, the operator is the one that's doing things, okay? So operant behavior is what a bird or any individual is doing, okay? Some birds are flying. That's their operant behavior. Pip, are you having fun? You having fun down there, Pip? You having fun on the floor? So, usually misbehavior, behavior we don't want, is due to certain signals that are just poorly arranged in the environment. For example, if you have a cage in a bad spot, maybe you have a cage in the middle of a room and there's people walking around the bird all the time and it's not sure what's going to happen and where it's going to come from, so it's turning around all the time trying to figure out what's going to come at it next. So when you're doing this kind of observation to see what's going on, you're only looking at what's observable, okay? You're not trying to think what's in their head. You're looking at observable behavior. Where are you going? Going under there. Come on up here. No, Bob. No. 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 Leave her alone. No. 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 Stop. Okay. That's a good boy. You notice I knocked him in the chest a little bit, just gently. Make him, because he's shaking his head at me, that means he's not going to do what I'm asking him to do. Okay, that's an argument on his half. You never want to hit a bird to hurt them. It's one thing to kind of push them out of the way like I did. You never hurt a bird. They don't forget. Okay? So your functional assessment is based on those ABCs, the antecedents, behaviors, and consequences. Okay? And a functional assessment becomes a functional analysis when you've tested it. So in other words, when I have a functional analysis, it means I see that there are specific antecedents, okay, cues in the environment that lead to a behavior, and the behavior is based on a certain consequence, okay? So if I get up, when I get up and I go to start cleaning, I've got about 5 minutes before the antecedent is me getting up, okay? So, and going into the kitchen and getting things organized. Roman will give me about 5 minutes to get his medicine ready. He likes his medicine in peanut butter, so he gets his medicine in the peanut butter. He gets a little bit on my hand in 3 different spots. He eats that first, and then he eats the medicine on the stick. It's all put on the craft stick. Okay. So it's a functional analysis because I know that after about 5 minutes, he's going to start calling for me, crying for me because he wants his medicine. Okay. Then once he's got that, he'll give me maybe 5 to 10 minutes. He has a certain wait period. There may be other signals or cues in the environment that I'm not aware of, but after that amount of time, he'll start calling again because he wants me to set up the tripod with the iPhone 5S so he can watch Honeysuckle Rose. Which is why in the title we have Willie Nelson, okay? Peanut butter and Willie Nelson, right? So he watches Honeysuckle Rose every morning and every night. It is ignorance of Bob's nature that turned Babaloo into a living gargoyle. Bob's would-be parents made a hasty choice and found themselves in living hell, torn between guilt and frustration. I have seen the joy in Babaloo's eyes now that he has a new life with me as his companion. To see Babaloo love and trust again is worth the effort of a lifetime. But, once again, Bob is heading toward the pain of separation. My heart nearly broke the day I discovered that he was heading toward a cloacal prolapse, that his life will be cut short. To find love and acceptance and then have it stolen away from you by failing health is too much to bear. We can slow the progress of his failing health, but we can't stop it. He will need several surgeries, and eventually, Babaloo will die. We want to give him the best possible life until that day. His surgeries will become progressively more expensive over time. Won't you please lend Babaloo a hand and donate to his medical fund today? Our donation button is on our webpage at www.chloesanctuary.org. Just be sure to say, "For Bob," in the notes when you donate. He listens to Willie Nelson pretty much all day. They all like the music. I'm not much into country music, honestly, but I've always liked Willie Nelson. Fortunately, that's the one he chose because it could have been somebody I didn't like. And since I've been around these birds, it has killed a lot of my upper frequencies of my hearing. So I have about 75% in this ear, and in the upper ranges, anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 cycles per second. In this ear, it's killed a little more than that. So it would have come in handy when I was younger, so I didn't have to listen to my wives. Not that I had more than one at a time, but you get the idea. I don't hear the higher voices that well, so I hear deep voices. But anyway, so a functional assessment becomes a functional analysis when you know that this is working, that if you do this, this, and this is going to happen, okay? So you have an antecedent, a behavior will happen, and the reason it happens is for this consequence. So assessment is when you're looking at it, saying this looks like this. Once you've tested it, then it becomes an analysis. Now, you don't have to remember all this, but this is what we do. This is what people who practice ABA do. So you get an idea that I'm not just I don't have small hands, and I'm not pulling things out of my body. Okay. Well, maybe I do have small hands. What do you think? You don't have hands? Yeah, I like wings better. I do. Now, once you know the relationship, your analysis is followed by testing. And the reason you test is to make sure that you have a clear path to the target behavior. And what's a target behavior? The target behavior is you want a bird, in Roman's case, you want a bird who's not afraid of squirt bottles, he's not afraid of paper towels, he's not afraid of you approaching his cage, and all the things I mentioned before. So, the target behavior is you want a bird that sees a spray bottle and wants to get a shower. We have that now. You have a bird that sees paper towels and doesn't react. He still reacts to towels, though, and that's what scared him this time and drove him into his fear patterns, was a towel. So I'm going to work with him on that. I already have a functional analysis, and that's proven, and the target behavior will be him being okay with them, but it's going to take a long time. It took almost a year to get him back this time. So, and I shouldn't, when I saw his reaction to the towel, I should have walked away, and I didn't. So this will happen to you at some point. So what I did was I looked at the situation was like with the spray bottle. If you get a spray bottle too close to him, when I was first working with him, if you got a spray bottle too close to him, he would run to the back of the cage and hide. Okay, so the spray bottle getting anywhere within about 3 feet of him, and he'd start hiding. With paper towels, if he saw you carrying paper towels, he was at the back of the cage and all the way up at the top, right, hiding from you. If you went to change the food in his cage and your hands came up, he ran away. So basically, he would not come out of his cage at all. You opened the door, he was to the back. He was afraid of you even approaching his cage. So basically, in every case, it was just the presentation of whatever it was, the hands, the bottle, the paper towels. In every case, when he saw them coming towards him, he would hide. So you could then see that the antecedent was whatever the item was, including human presence or whatever, door opening, would lead to the behavior of running away, fear behavior. Right, Bob? And then the consequence would be that he'd be up and away of everything. So he got as far as he could. So he was just trying to get away. And that's, we have the fight or flight response, but these guys mostly have a flight response. So if they can fly, they'll fly away. If not, they'll run away. It's like in Monty Python's Holy Grail, When danger reared his ugly head, brave Sir Robin bravely fled. Brave, brave, brave Sir Robin. In this case, it was Rome just fleeing from everything. Now, in shaping an overall approach, there's a number of things. You have to decide what interventions and what little steps you're going to take, baby steps from one step to the next, how you're going to fix it, right? Okay, like with paper towels, I got to go around and clean things with paper towels. So what you start doing is, the first thing you do is find out what they like, okay? What you can give them as a primary reinforcer. Primary reinforcers are those reinforcers that we naturally will gravitate to. Food is a primary reinforcer. Heat when it's cold, cold when it's hot. You're drawn to these things. These are primary reinforcers. Secondary reinforcers are usually social. So like petting or speaking gently to a bird or using a phrase like good boy or good bird. Those are all secondary reinforcers, and those last longer. They're not as powerful, but they last longer. Once they're full, like if you're full and somebody offers you, "Do you want this wafer thin mint?" You're gonna say no, right? Unless you're Mr. Creosote, you're gonna say no. So, but if it's like social interaction, it's petting or hugging or that kind of thing, then you're more likely to respond. So first you have to decide what your interactions are going to be, what your interventions are going to be. So your plans for each thing that you're working with, and the overall plan for his fear in general. And then the pace, how fast are you going to go? Well, generally you do baby steps. You figure out the least little step from one to the next that you're going to do. So give you an example with the spray bottle. What I did was I sprayed the birds down, okay? So I got a perch close enough to his cage that didn't scare him, where he could watch, but not so close that he would feel threatened. So we're talking about 3 feet away from his cage. I brought birds over there that like to be sprayed, such as Cecil. And Cecil's got his wings out and he's talking and he's, and he's having a good old time, and Rome's over there sitting on the far side of the cage on his perch. Not close, but the far side. Not up at the back hiding, but ready to run if he could, watching this. Because this is modeling. They learn through modeling, okay? They learn through modeling. They also learn vicariously. Vicarious is like when you put your hand on a burner and go, ow, and pull your hand away, right? They can learn that way too. They see you do that, and they go, oh, I'm not going over there. That's pain, okay? So they learn both ways. Started with that, and then slowly brought it closer and closer to his cage. And while I'm also doing the same thing with paper towels. Now, I would use other things to clean his cage rather than paper towels. I modify a little mop. These dolls from the dollar store, and I use that to clean the bottom of the cage. And he would sit at the top, but it wasn't paper towels, so he didn't have a problem. That actually worked out to my benefit, because now I'm doing that. Hey, you two, no, come on. No male and female activity. It's not mating season, like that matters. So then I would use paper towels around on other cages where you could see me doing it, but I didn't bring it close to his cage. Right? Knowing that his favorite thing, after trying different types of foods with him, I found out his favorite food was peanut butter. That's fairly easy to do. You put a tray out with different things on it, in case I also had one little stick with peanut butter, just a craft stick, right? And he immediately went for that first. So I knew that peanut butter was going to be one of his things. The other thing is he also likes sunflower seeds. So in a training session, I would use the sunflower seeds if he was on a perch. Get away from him. No. Lorelei, get out of there. Lorelei, no. Get off there. Can't sit next to Cecil. No, you can't sit next to Casanova up there. To the Elvis of the bird world. So we'll just pick one of those because we can't go through every one, but we'll start with the hand. How did I get him to actually accept hands again? Knowing that he liked peanut butter, every day he has to have medicine, okay? So what I would do is put a stick with peanut butter through the cage, and he would come over carefully and grab the stick from me and eat the peanut butter that had the medicine in it. So eventually I opened the door, cleaning his cage, that kind of thing, with the little mop I made. And before I would do that, I would bring a stick with peanut butter on it. And he got to where he would just barely reach for it. Now, this took a while, okay? We're talking a few months just to go through this process because he was so frightened by everything. This is the way he originally came to us. So he had resurgence, and after I had solved all these problems, he had resurgence, and he went back into these behaviors, okay, that he had gone in the beginning. So I'm going to talk about when he went back into it, but it's the same process, okay, that I did before. So let's talk about the hand. Now with the hand, what I did is I put just a little bit of peanut butter on the end of my finger. You know where all those neat little nerves are? Probably where you're going to feel the most pain if you get bitten, right there on the end of this finger. So that's what I did, is I put peanut butter on my finger and put my finger up in his cage. Good boy. And sat it there for a while. The first few times I did that, he just stayed away. But the peanut butter drew him, and he finally just kind of reached his neck over, and he took the peanut butter off my fingers. Just like grabbed it and ran off with it. Within a few weeks, he was coming up, taking the peanut butter off my finger, licking my finger clean. Then what I did is I moved that peanut butter just a little bit down. Or not, about halfway from the tip of the finger to the first joint, right in there. And he was a little nervous when he saw that, But he came over and took it, kind of hesitant like he had before. And then after a few days, that was okay. Then I moved it further down till it ended up being right down here, okay? So it was, instead of being on the tip of my finger, it was then at the base of my finger. Then what I did was add another little glob right in the middle of my hand. Hey there, what you doing over there, kid? A little glob in the middle of my hand. So at first he was hesitant, but he went for this, the one at the end of my finger, and then he went for the one in the middle of my hand. Then eventually I added some down at the base of my hand, and then a little way up my arm, about another 2 inches up my arm. So I still do that. When I put my hand into his cage, I have peanut butter in those 3 spots. He eats that, then he gets his stick with his medicine. And he's not afraid of my hands anymore. Now one day while I was doing this, he reached over and grabbed my hand. Okay? He started doing that more frequently. Then one day he jumped up on my hand. Now he got up there and he sat there for about 10 seconds, and then he realized, I guess he realized where he was, and he jumped back onto his perch. And I did not pull my hand out. I didn't want to push him. So I didn't pull my hand out. He jumped on my hand. He stood there for about 10 seconds and went, "What?" and ran back on the perch. Within 2 weeks, he was standing on my hand and wanting to be petted. Within another couple of weeks, he's up on my chest, and I'm holding him there. And now I've gotten to the point where I can walk him to the kitchen and walk him back to his cage, and I can hold him. Now here's the thing. We're going back to that Twilight Zone where you pay the $1 for the love potion, but it costs you $10,000 for the shoe polish. And the reason, I don't know if you know that particular episode, but anyway, once you get them to where they're happy with you, then he doesn't want to get off my hand. Now, in order to get him off my hand after I've been petting him for, you don't really want to pet a bird more than 5 minutes. So I will pet him and then come back a little later and pet him again. So what I'll do is I'll pet him and then I put him inside the cage, up behind his perch, so that he has to, so that he will probably step onto his perch because of his positioning. Although now he's grabbing my hand, trying not to get off my hand. He would much rather be petted. So this whole process took nearly a year because fear is one of the hardest things to work with. And he has the bug of fear pretty bad. So it was like the first time it took almost a year to get him. I had to take his cage apart. His original cage, I had to take it apart to get him into his new cage. We bought him a $900, 4-foot by 3-foot by 6-foot tall cage. And just to get him into it, I had to tear the other one apart. So you can imagine how afraid he was of the world. He's okay now. I have to work with him on towels because I don't want that to ever happen again. But as it is right now, I can't get a towel much closer than about 6 feet away from his cage. Maybe within 6 months, he'll be able to tolerate a towel and get into one. It's good if you have an emergency. You need to be able to towel your birds if for some reason they're hurt and you need to get them to the vet or into a small cage, and because of the situation they don't want to go. So getting them into a towel, making them feel comfortable is important. Barbara Heidenreich has a good video on veterinary behaviors, and it does tell you how to do this, the approach. And there's also stop that now. Now you calm down. There's also videos on YouTube that deal with that. I think Bird Tricks has some. And there's some other groups that have videos on that. Be careful though, sometimes some of these groups, Bird Tricks is fine, but there are some groups that tell you the wrong way to do things, so be careful, okay? Now when you're working with the bird, if you want it to work, you have to use your basic behavior norms, okay? In other words, you have to choose how you're going to behave with this bird every time, and you don't want to deviate from it, all right? Initially, when I was giving him his peanut butter on my finger, I didn't use my left hand. I always used my right. And when I presented it, I always presented it like this. Okay? Slowly brought my hand up. I always presented it with like a D shape in my hand. Always the same. So consistency, contiguity, meaning they don't get their reward until the exact moment that they've done what you want, okay? And contingency, the reward doesn't happen unless they do the behavior you want. All right. So if you remember those 3 C's, we have a video on that too. Those are important when you're working. And of course, with Roman, whenever I did anything, I just followed my own behavior norms. These are the way I'm going to behave around him until he can break out of his fear and I can start to release my behavior norms a little bit. I can start, now he's actually eating the peanut butter off my left hand. Okay? So I started to generalize the behavior from this hand to the other hand, to having peanut butter in different places in his cage, where he can come down to the bottom of the cage and get peanut butter, moving it around a bit, okay? And I also, if he started to show fear, just yesterday when I put my hand up the way I normally do to get him to step up, I'll ask him, do you want to step up? Do you want to step up? And he'll look at me, and then if he walks over and says hello, or he makes any sound, or he walks my way, then I put my hand in. Well, I did that yesterday, and he put his head down like he just wanted to be petted in the cage. So I petted him in the cage. I went back a step, okay? So, and if I saw that something wasn't working, I would go back to a functional assessment so that I could get a functional analysis to work on with whatever the new situation was. So in other words, update your behavior and what you're doing. Hey, don't pull the hairs on my arm. Update your behavior if necessary. Now, one of the other things I did in the original, when I dealt with him originally, was the new cage to give him more space. If he had more space, he'd be less fearful. Make sure his cage location was up against a wall where he felt secure. Get a lot of toys in there for him. Well, it started off with 1 toy hanging there, and then 2 toys, and now 3 toys. It's kind of funny because he'll eat the 2 in 2 positions. He doesn't like the one over in the other position. So I'll rotate that one in and rotate the other ones out as he chews things down. So I was also working on trying to get him more interested in toys. If he's playing, he's less likely to get nervous when somebody walks up. And it would help to also to establish, no, don't bother her. She's having trouble here. She's not sure about you, and you're bothering her, okay? Now, there were some other things too that I had to think about, because you've got to think about all the behaviors and all the situations. He didn't like being in the socialization room. In the videos we have of him, he was always behind my head saying, "I love you," and just stuck behind my head, kind of like her. She's a little more confident now, but she likes to sit up here and be protected. He also went on outings. He used to go, I got him to the point where he could actually leave the house, and he would go outside. First, we just walk around the building. And then eventually he got to go to places that were safe, where there was just 1 person or 2 who would dote on him and that kind of thing. But I don't think I'll do that again, because although he did fairly well in those environments, I think they were stressful for him, and I don't want him to go like this again. If there's any more resurgence, if he goes back into this behavior, I want it to be a lot less dramatic than this one was. So I had to do the reassessment and replay, because it all happened over again. So I had to do analysis on hands and leaving his cage and the fear of approach. Now, there were some other things that I knew. He liked Willie Nelson. He had, before he had freaked out again, he liked watching Honeysuckle Rose back here in the socialization room. So now I set up a tripod, and he watches Honeysuckle Rose in the morning and Honeysuckle Rose at night. And while I'm doing my cleaning and that kind of thing, and my cooking, he watches it. He also likes to be sprayed. Now, I talked about how he was afraid of spray bottles. Now, when he sees a spray bottle, and I went through a long process with him, but step by step, getting him closer and closer, showing him the other birds liked it. Now he loves it. He says, I love you, and he lifts his wings up, and he wants to be sprayed and sprayed, and he doesn't want to stop. So if I spray him in the morning before I take out the rest of the birds, then he's begging the entire time for me to continue to spray him. So I have to give him a couple of shots with the spray as the other birds are coming through. And getting theirs right. Little Pip, you're having a day, aren't you? So now he wants his established reinforcers, his secondary and primaries. He likes his treats. Okay. He wants me to vocally respond to him when he asks for something. He has certain sounds he makes, crying when he wants petted and that kind of thing, or if he just wants attention. He wants his music. Okay, and I mean the music is good for the birds, so that's not a problem. And where do we go from here? Now that we're at the point where he comes out of the cage, he likes to be held again. No outings except from the cage. No socialization room because that's too stressful for him. Trying to keep his pressure down, watching and cueing his positive behaviors. Okay, so getting him interested in being held and making sure he gets held at least a couple of times a day. He can get out of his cage and wander around some. You have to watch him though because he'll go for your feet. And then continuing the analysis and making sure that he's not becoming nervous. I failed to mention that he is on haloperidol for his feather destructive behavior. I tried lowering it and it just comes back, so he's probably going to be on that for the rest of his life. He's on 0.14 of the undiluted 2 milligrams per milliliter solution. So without that, he shakes. He's just nervous. But with that and proper environment and proper care, he is now a happy bird that likes to say, I love you, I love you, I love you. It wasn't easy to bring him back, and it would be easy for someone to quit. I could have quit on Sugar too because she wasn't responding to the treatment. The medicine was not at the right level. It needed to be considerably higher, much above what the books recommend. And getting the collar off of her was tough. She hated collars, but it was worth it because I tell you, there's nothing like a Roman hug. Nothing. Okay, guys, who wants to say goodbye? Sally, you want to say goodbye to the people? Come on up. Salamander, say goodbye to the people. Say goodbye to the people. Bang! Oh, the show is over. You want to do some sit-ups? You do? Okay. Let's do some sit-ups then. You want to do sit-ups? Okay. 1, 2. Come on, one more. 3. Good boy. You did your sit-ups. Yeah. Now say goodbye to the people. Don't say it to me. Say goodbye to the people. We'll see you next time. Do you really love me, Roman? Oh, I love you too. You big silly bird. You just love a shower, don't you? You just love a shower, don't you? What a good bird. What a good bird. It's a good bird. Oh, I love you too. That's about it, sweetheart. I love you too, Roman. I love you. I love you. I love you. Hello, baby. I love you. I love you, Roman. I love you, Roman. Hello, boy. Hello. Hello, Roman. Hello. I love you. I love you. Good boy. Aw. That's a good bird. That's a good bird. You wanna come sit with Dad? You wanna come see Dad? I love you, Bob. Yes. Good bird. Okay. That's my Roman bird. I love you. I love you. Roman bird, I love you. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Love you. I love you. Okay, sweetie. I'll be back.
We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatude@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @Chloe Sanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.